to hand this over to the next United States Senator from the great state of Mississippi, McDaniel.
It's all downhill from here, you know? Thank you very much. Is this mic hot enough where you can hear this? All right, we've got to talk for a few minutes. There's some things on my mind. First of all, let me just say what an honor it is to be here with you today. It wasn't that many years ago that I was a little boy here on this campus. My father was a professor here. And I remember running around on this stage, running up and down these aisles. It means a lot to be back home. It means a lot. It means a lot to have these brave people behind me supporting me, these senators that have literally placed their political careers on hold to do what's right, to do what's good, to be principled for a change, to have courage for a change. The only way we save this country is to find our backbone again. There are millions of people in this country that feel like strangers in their own land right now. An older America is passing away and a new America is rising to take its place. There are many of us that recoil from that culture. It's foreign to us. It's offensive to us. If you believe otherwise, try to be the father of a 7-year-old son like I am and find anything on TV worth watching. If you believe otherwise, try to be the father of a 2-year-old and find anything on the radio worth listening to. The problem with that, folks, is that when character is degraded, your role in your government is degraded. Amen. And our culture is degrading our character. It is challenging our character. And consequently, we as a people have surrendered our self-government to a place 1,000 miles away. The power belongs to you. It's always belonged to you. But we have fallen for this great delusion. And the delusion is this. A politician comes into a room just like this. He raises his hand. He identifies a problem. And then he sells you the delusion. He says, only government can solve your problems. No, wrong answer. It is not the place of government to solve your problems. It is the place... It is the place of strong, self-reliant, self-governing individuals to solve your own problems. Your church, from time to time, your community, from time to time, but not that government 1,000 miles away. And every time we have surrendered a bit of our liberty, that government grows, it expands, and it wants more. More of your money, more of your freedoms. And there's a price we pay for that. I became a Republican when I was 13 years old, not because I knew anything about policy or philosophy or law, but I knew there was this man, this actor from California. Wow. And he would look directly at that TV and it felt like he was speaking to me. My father called me into the room. He says, son, you've got to see this. And we watched Ronald Reagan. And he talked about things that intuitively made sense to me. He talked about liberty. He talked about limited government. He talked about constitutionalism. He talked about balanced budgets. He talked about traditional family values. But the real thing that caught my attention was when he talked about principle. He said our party was a party of bold colors, not pastels, a party of principle, not surrender, and that's when it dawned on me, I must be a Republican. And yet today we stand questioning the backbone of this great party. Ladies and gentlemen, your Constitution is not subject to compromise. Amen. And I've got 17.5 trillion reasons to never again compromise on debt. And yet we stand here fighting what I consider to be the worst president in our country's history. In this environment, where our conservative values are being attacked, where our conservative beliefs are being attacked, where our Constitution is being degraded, silence is complicity. Conservatives, look at me for a moment. Republicans, look at me for a moment. Name one fight that Senator Thad Cochran has led against Barack Obama. For the most conservative state in the Republic to be led by silence, that is truly unfortunate.
Yes, it is.
Truly unfortunate. Senator Mike Lee, he stands and fights from Utah. Senator Rand Paul stands to fight from Kentucky. Senator Ted Cruz stands to fight from Texas. Even the governor from Alaska fights for us. It's time for a son of Mississippi to stand and fight for us. I tell you, when Senator Ted Cruz stood there that night and he laid his soul on the line for this government and for this country, we applauded him. When others joined him, Mike Lee and Rand Paul, we knew we had friends in Washington, D.C. finally. Reinforcements are coming. Now, it's not that Senator Cochran is a bad person. I respect Senator Cochran. I even like him, despite the attack ads.
You're a good man.
But Senator Cochran has not been the conservative voice we need in Mississippi. When those brave men stood there on the floor of the Senate, Senator Cochran was not there with him. He voted to fund Obamacare, not once but twice. Republicans, look at me for a second. Are we a party of bailouts or not?
No!
Because Senator Cochran voted to bail out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. He voted for the Cash for Clunkers program. Come on, conservatives, look at me for a second. Are we a party of taxation?
No!
Senator Cochran's voted for higher income taxes. He's voted for higher gas taxes. He's voted for higher internet taxes. Are we a party of debt? He's voted 13 times in the last 10 years to raise your debt ceiling to the tune of $8 trillion. Are we a party of the United Nations? He's voted to increase the U.S. share of UN peacekeeping cost. He's voted for amnesty. He's voted against the border fence twice, but perhaps more alarmingly so, he voted for Chuck Hagel, and that was a line too far. That was a line too far. Now, the Republicans could have stopped the nomination of Chuck Hagel, couldn't they? But the first Republican senator to cross that aisle once again and support the Democrats against our wishes was none other than Senator Thad Cochran from Mississippi. It's the same Thad Cochran that supported John Kerry for Secretary of State, and the same Thad Cochran that gave us Ruth Bader Ginsburg to the United States Supreme Court. It's time for a change in Washington, D.C. And there's no way to change the city until we change the people we send there to represent us. And we have a vision. We have a vision for this country. It's called the Conservative Reform Agenda. It is the agenda that will restore not only our Constitution, but opportunity for all Mississippians. Mississippians suffer from an opportunity crisis. We feel stuck. We do not have the jobs that we deserve. We need stability. We need opportunity. We need productivity. So I am going to join with Mike Lee from Utah and Ted Cruz from Texas and Rand Paul from Kentucky to push an agenda. And the very first thing we're going to push, I want to be very, very clear about this, I am not going to Washington, D.C. to put a Band-Aid on Obamacare. It doesn't need to be tweaked, it needs to be killed once and for all.